Y'all are leaving without subscribing.
Like, why y'all doing that?
How about that?
No, really don't.
I'm just playing.
I'm not.
You're not subscribed. You don't want to.
No, I need you to subscribe.
You have to subscribe. Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what side of the world you're in. I'm HalfLifeSistah, and this is my hubby Wolf Kane.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome to my channel and to another episode of Sister No Wolf Reaction.
We're going to keep it going with Iron Maiden. We're trying to squeeze in as many as we can before our concert. If you've seen the last reaction we just did, we're going to our first Iron Maiden concert.
Yes, we are. I'm so excited and I'm nervous.
I'm super stressed out because I intended to reveal the concert to her a week ago, and then I planned a whole week of doing reactions with just Iron Maiden. That didn't come to fruition. We're not going to have time to do that, so I'm going to try to squeeze in as many important ones as I can off of their set list. This is what they're actually going to play at the concert.
Oh, that's so awesome. Good baby. Yes.
So I want to expose you to as many of those songs as possible, so when you're in the concert, you feel more involved in it. Yeah. So you know what we do on this channel: context, react, review.
Yes.
I'm going to try to give you as much context as quickly as possible.
Thank you, babe. Yes.
Our AC is literally broken right now, guys.
Yes, and we have a repairman on his way over here.
So these are not tears today. This is sweat you're seeing, and we're waiting for the AC guy as we're doing this.
Yes.
So we're going to try to squeeze this in while we wait for him, and hopefully we get our AC fixed. We got a birthday party coming up. We got a lot of we need that AC working.
I hope to see you guys for my stream party on Twitch this Saturday actually, the 20th.
Yeah. So, moving on, we're going to do Aces High today.
Aces High.
This is one of Iron Maiden's biggest songs.
It's requested, right? Aces High?
I'm sure. Why not? It's one of the biggest songs. It's one of their more fast-paced metal songs. It's not really like Somewhere in Time is a very long ballad with a lot of multiple leads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This particular song is about World War II and a British fighter called the Spitfire.
Okay.
And the Spitfire, essentially, a lot of people consider not only saved Britain, but might have saved the world, because it was a very turning point in the World War II battle. The Battle of Britain, considered by many to be the first real blow when they defeated the Nazis. It was a battle fully fought in the air. So you've got the German Luftwaffe fighting the Royal Air Force, the RAF. And this is 1940 to 1941. So this is still early.
Gotcha.
In the war, but during this time, Germany was doing what was called the Blitz.
Okay.
The Blitz was a series of bombing runs that they would send towards Britain, and they would bomb Britain. They started in the day, but eventually they moved it to night. So these were night bombings.
Gotcha.
So they were trying to hit airports, not airports. The air where the military bases were,
like that.
industrial places, but they were also hitting a lot of civilians and a lot of houses. We're talking over 40,000 civilians dead.
Ooh,
we're talking over 1 million homes destroyed or damaged. And during this time, you've got the development of this Spitfire. It was designed by R.J. Mitchell, and it was a beautiful aircraft. It had a very distinctive shape, and during that time, that shape helped the people of Britain. When you would see that shape in the sky, you would feel like a sense of hope and a sense of protection, because you could see them in the air and you knew that was a British fighter in the Spitfire. So it became a symbol of hope during that war.
Wow.
And what was good about the Spitfire versus what the Germans had, which was the 109, I think, was it was more maneuverable.
Okay.
So the Germans and the 109 had better firepower, but had maneuverability.
Gotcha.
It was a lighter aircraft. It can go side to side much quicker and much better than the Germans could. So a lot of times when a Spitfire would hit a hard left, a German usually couldn't follow them.
Gotcha.
The song has the energy of the flight, of the battle, of the dogfight in the air. That's the energy of the song.
So I feel it, huh? Okay.
Yeah. If you see Eddie in the picture that we have here, that's he's basically in a Spitfire right there. And you can see it's a very tight one-man cockpit, and it was. I'll let him do the rest, but I watched a documentary once where I heard a British pilot literally and casually in his most English of all accents simply say, you know, we would scramble, you know, we would get into our planes, we would scramble, we would roll, we would dive, you know, we would fight, and then we would land, and then we'd all do it again. He literally said that. I got chills because that's literally some of the lyrics in the song. Rolling, scrambling, diving, doing it again.
Wow.
So when I heard him say that in a documentary, that gave me chills because I'm like, yeah, because that's what the life of a pilot was, because you never knew when the next bombing raid from Germany was coming.
Right.
So sometimes you would hear them too late. So the moment you hear them and you hear the sirens, you got to jump in your plane, get up there, and start trying to shoot these guys down because they are coming to bomb your country.
Wow.
So crazy stuff, that whole time period.
Wow.
So in the concert, it's going to be the first song they play.
Okay.
And it's going to start with Winston Churchill's speech. Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of Britain at the time. All right, so Roosevelt was our president, Winston Churchill, and then Russia had Stalin.
Okay.
And Winston is a complicated person, to say the least, right? Because he was both a piece of shit and an amazing man.
How can you be both?
So he essentially you could thank him for being instrumental in saving our lives. All of our lives, right?
All of our lives.
Instrumental at winning the war.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
But he was also a bit of a piece of shit when it comes to how he handled things with India, for example. And, you know, there's some tribalism and maybe racism, and I don't think that you can say that any president, it's so messed up at this time because you can't be the leader and save us from this war
Right.
without also performing some form of genocide or war crime. We did the same thing. Us dropping bombs on Japan
Right. Ooh.
was technically could be
Oh my
considered a war
God.
crime, right?
Well,
But we did it because we were being attacked, right? And Japan refused to surrender. But you always have to ask yourself, was that maybe going too far? But what's amazing is they didn't surrender after the first bomb. They made us drop another bomb. And then when you say make us, like, did they make us? Is there another way? But then, what, are you going to expend soldiers on the ground? Are their lives less precious than their lives? So it's a complicated, disgusting...
It really is. I just don't touch that stuff.
It's a disgusting moral quandary that has no clear right or wrong, because you can make arguments on all sides and make perfectly good arguments, but at the end of the day, all of it is disgusting. All of it. And I understand that we were in wartime during the famine in India, but again, you can make the argument both ways that even though it's wartime, you're allowing millions of people to starve, you know? So it's complicated and it's gross, and it's something that nobody would really ever want to be in a position to do. And that's why it's hard to judge these men afterwards, because on the one hand, you have this, but on the other hand, you have the free world, and sometimes you have to do things that are gross when there's such extreme things like this going on. So it's a really moral quandary that's fascinating to study and fascinating to talk about, but very difficult to pigeonhole as any one particular thing. So from Britain's perspective, the Spitfire, the Battle of Britain, it's a glorious moment in history. They were defending ourselves from Germany. So it's a very pure song and a very pure moment in history that we can just take for what it is.
Okay.
And then we can talk about other things later on for a different subject. He made some beautiful speeches, though. Regardless what you think of the man, he made some beautiful, emotional, stirring speeches. And one line that he said in his speech, and he was talking about this Royal Air Force, was that never was so much owed by so many to so few.
Never was so much owed to so many.
To so few.
To so few.
Right? So we owe this small group of men because the Air Force is relatively small compared to the Army and everything else,
course,
right?
Yes.
But even though they're small in numbers, what they did is so great. And every time you go in that plane, that's certain death. You are basically saying I am okay with death, because you cannot be a pilot, and more importantly a fighter pilot,
right,
and not know at any point on any day you are not owed life. I don't know if they don't think about it, or if they're just okay with it, or if they're just looking at the goal and not thinking about the consequence. I don't know what kind of a human being ever says to themselves that I want to be a pilot. I honestly don't know, especially a fighter pilot.
Right.
But holy cow.
Wow, that is true. You're up in the air, you're flying
Yeah.
in the sky. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That is pretty extraordinary.
And I hear stories, of, fighter pilots are very close. And I've heard stories, Joe Rogan has talked about this on his podcast and stuff, where I hear them talking about, like, they would have families, the families would all know each other, right?
Okay.
And they were okay with swinging and stuff because they didn't want their wives to be without a husband or a man.
Wait, what?
But think about this. As a fighter pilot, you're going to die at any moment.
Right.
You don't want your family to not be taken care of. So you would have this closeness with other pilots to where you all are like this one big family. And if something happens to me, you need to take care of her, and vice versa.
Okay.
But again, when you think about how extreme and insane doing it is, that doesn't seem so crazy after that.
I guess you're right.
When you look at life in that sense, where I can go at any freaking second. You live your life very differently. Well, you living on the edge.
Yeah.
Seriously. No, there's no other way to explain it. Jesus, you living on the edge. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
At the concert, you're going to hear it. The intro is going to be Winston Churchill's speech.
Okay.
Not this one, not the one where Never Was So Much. It's another speech that he made. When I play it, you'll probably recognize it.
Okay.
It's not on the album version, but I am playing the album version of the song, because from here on out, it's going to be album versions, because I want you to hear the song the way it was originally.
To be heard.
Yes, sound. And so when you hear it live, you recognize more of the nuances, because you may not always catch the nuances live.
I appreciate that. This is interesting. Okay.
If we have time, I'd like you to hear Revelations again, but I'd like you to hear the album version, so you can compare it to what you heard live. That's the one we threw on Patreon.
To the end, we shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
The bass is insane on this.
There's no time to wait.
just galloping, man. It's just galloping.
So good. Like this. Yeah.
Moving to fire at the mainstream of bombers. Let off the showers and they turn away. Roll over, spin round to come in behind them. Move to their blind sides and fire in again. Bandits and Titans are moving behind us. Tell everyone all night out of the sun. Ascending and turning, a Spitfires to face them. Heading straight for them, a blast on the guns.
I love this story.
Dual guitar, baby. Dual guitar. No. I'm sorry I said anything. I'm sorry I said anything. I forgot about the jiggle hands. I forgot about the jiggle hands, baby. I'm sorry.
That was so cool.
I gotta turn this thing off for Pete.
Oh man, the drums, the bass.
Yeah.
Oh wow, the galloping.
The
Definitely the
galloping.
galloping was sick in the song.
You know, it's about dogfighting, so it's got to move. You know, the song's got to have that energy.
It was definitely moving forward. Yeah, I felt
Yeah.
that.
But the storytelling, I don't know. You know, obviously you can't get it on the first listen. But the storytelling is what makes Iron Maiden shine sometimes, because, like I said, you know, they like to take. Let me see if I have the lyrics pulled up. You know, they like to take these events and these stories and they articulate it into a song.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very unusual
In a
song.
very
It's
simplistic way as well. Though.
yeah. Well, let me read you the lyrics and you tell me. Well, it's very matter of fact, right?
Very much so.
Like, this is literally what's happening.
This is exactly what happened.
Step by step.
Exactly.
Yeah. But there's a beauty in that, because
agree.
Let me tell you why there's a beauty in that.
I'm listening.
Do me a favor, type in Ace's High lyrics. There goes the siren that warns of the air raid, right? We're speaking about that.
Yeah.
Then comes the sound of the gun sending flak.
Okay, so okay.
Out for the scramble, we've got to get airborne, got to get up for the coming attack. So what Germans would do is they would send their bombers, and they would have the 109s escorting these bombers, so that when the Spitfires, they hear the sirens, they hear the coming attack, they all scramble, getting to their cockpits and jump in. The craziest thing I ever heard, maybe I'll see if I can find and play this for you. They got recordings of these British pilots talking to each other during dogfights.
Uh-huh.
And they're talking to each other so politely.
Politely and calmly.
There's one
I can
point.
imagine.
No, but there's one point. They're literally in a firefight. You could hear the guns going off.
But they're trained to be that way. Even
No, that's crazy talk.
I understand.
No, but listen. They fire, right? He gets the guy. He shoots him, right?
Okay.
And now they're all celebrating, and the captain is like, "All right, gents, everyone, calm down."
Where is he, Red Gunner? Can you see him? Down! Down! No, he's chopped down. Did you shoot him down? Yeah, he's got him, boy, right in the middle. Right about Vegas, keep waving, and some black coming at me. Okay, don't shout all at once. Hello, mid-gunner. Did you recognize that fighter you shot on? No, I didn't recognize it, but it's definitely going down now. Good, Jimmy, I can see it, boy. Good show.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
You're right. They have to have a special type of
These are not
Like
normal
that.
people.
not
Seriously.
normal necessarily in a negative
In
way.
the, I
of
mean that
course.
in the grandest sense of the
Yeah.
word.
Yes.
But like, thank goodness there's as many good of those kind of people on that side as there were on the German side, right? Because otherwise it would be a one-sided fight. That's
Right.
somebody had to step up. But wow, I can't get it, man. That's crazy. So jump in the cockpit and start up the engines. Remove all the wheel blocks. There's no time to waste. Gathering speed as we head down the runway. Got to get airborne before it's too late. So
Wow, so he's telling it
Yeah.
step by step. It's so cool.
the energy of the song and the urgency.
Okay, the energy, the urgency. Okay.
So the urgency is both in the song and in the lyrics,
And the progression of it as well. baby.
right? And then once he gets airborne before it's too late, right before the bombings start to happen and people start dying, right? Moving in. So that's when the chorus starts, right? So it's running, scrambling, flying, rolling, turning, diving, going in again, right? So rinse, repeat.
Right.
And when I heard the bridge pilot say it, I actually, it's so annoying because I literally recorded it on my phone with the intention of playing it when we one day did this reaction. And that was like a year ago. But I've since lost the video and I can't seem to find it anywhere. But
a year ago when we first started this?
Yes.
Oh, really?
I'm dead serious. A year ago when we first started this, I always intended to play you every Iron Maiden song eventually. So that was kind of like a given. So after all the chorus, you also have run, live to fly, fly to live, do or die.
Yeah, that
Pretty
part.
self-explanatory. Won't you live to fly, fly to live, aces high, baby. Moving into fire at the
What does that
main.
even mean, aces high?
Aces
I know
high.
it means when you're playing poker, I think. But
Well, when you're playing poker,
in the terms of flying.
well, aces high, that's the highest card, right? So if you're talking about something going aces, then that means you're winning, right?
trumping.
You want it, right? So you definitely, when you're in a dogfight, you want to win.
Gotcha.
But an ace is also a pilot who had 5 or more kills. So
What?
you would call him an ace. You know,
Oh,
sort of
that's so cool.
So ace is
Well,
considered
not
a term
cool
of
as in
endearment.
killing people.
Well, yes, but I
You
mean
guys get what I'm saying.
from a skill aspect, right?
Yeah.
So that would be considered a good pilot. So you want to be an ace, and you want aces high. So basically, you
You wanna
basically
be on
want to
top,
live.
yes,
you
you
want to
wanna
win that
live.
dogfight. You want to live to fight another
I wish
day.
there was no wars, no fighting.
To call a topic for another day. But yeah.
Moving forward. Not
But this is
sideways.
history. This all actually happened, and these heroes, they stepped up when they needed, and that's what I'm saying. Regardless of the kind of person they were, even Russia, and technically we weren't friendly
Friends
with Russia,
right? I didn't think we were at that time.
but the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
Right.
So
we helped
for
each other.
for that moment, and it's sad that we can't maintain that friendship
It's
after
really
things happen. But
sick. It's sickening, actually.
there's bigger problems underfoot. It's a much bigger problem.
I'm
but-
not trying to tackle that stuff.
But yeah, so the rest of the lyrics are move in to fire at the mainstream of bombers, because again they would send these bombers with the 109s, let off a sharp burst and then turn away, roll over, spin around and come up behind them, move to their blind spots and fire again. But this is why I wanted you to read
Wow.
This is why I wanted you to read the lyrics though, because it sounded simple, right? But that's a very important detail.
It is.
Because remember I told you the Spitfire had excellent turning capabilities.
Right, it did. Right.
Better than the 109s.
Uh-huh.
And what the pilots, as they were learning on the job, what they started doing was they realized they couldn't dive
Gotcha.
without stalling their engine, right?
Uh-huh.
But they realized that when they turned and dived, that actually kept the engine working. And they
Gotcha.
were able to do it much faster than 109. So they were able to do a maneuver where they would turn around and come up behind them.
Right.
And they were able
That is-
to outmaneuver the 109s.
Wow, that's remarkable.
Look at this next one. Bandits at 8 o'clock move in behind us. 10 Me 109s out of the sun. So the Me 109s, those were the Luftwaffe airplanes, the fighters. Ascending and turning our Spitfires to face them, heading straight for them, I press down my guns. So, I mean, this is just real shit. And then again, rolling, turning, diving, rolling,
And it
turning,
continues,
diving, doing it again.
continues, yeah.
This was 1984 when they wrote this. This was off of their Power Slave album, which was incredible, probably one of their
Wow.
best. And just another reason why I love them. You know, they all their songs have meanings, and like I told you, every single song has an Eddie art attached to it.
Yes, I love that.
So
Okay.
this is Aces High.
Aces High.
And now when I go dun 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 dun,
I'll know where it come from.
it's just every song has such a unique riff and sound to it
Yes.
that they become unmistakable. And that's the
Yeah.
hallmark of good songwriting and good musicianship. When you heard Wasted Years, that incredible intro with it sounds amazing, but it's super easy to play. Yeah. So if you ever hear it, you'll know instantly what it is. You'll never hear another song that sounds that way. Super easy to play though. But again, it's not always about how complicated something is. This is something we talk about with progressive music. It doesn't matter how necessarily complicated it is. How good does it sound? How iconic, how epic, how unique, how special,
Yeah.
how memorable, how replayable it is.
Yeah.
All of that matters when in a song, not just how
Indeed.
complicated the notes are, you know?
Right. I
So-
agree, but then there's this place in the world for that kind of stuff.
Of course, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
But I tend to gravitate more towards the latter than the former.
I
You know?
understand that.
Did I say that right? Former, latter? Doesn't matter. Y'all know what I mean.
The former. But that's fine.
All
I
right.
like that song. It was a really good song.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Sure.
So we're going to do our absolute best to document or do a vlog of our getting ready, in preparation of our concert. So wish us luck, okay? Because we're gonna need it. We're gonna have our daughter, who's gonna also be attending the concert with us, to do most of the recording. And whatever. So wish us luck, okay? Okay. It's gonna be litty. It's gonna be litty. Baby,
the
thank
kids
you
are
for
saying
this
these days.
journey. I'm having a lot of fun. My very first concert. It's gonna be freaking amazing and insane. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction video, because if you did, please give us a thumbs up. Comment below. Do not leave without subscribing, and also do share our content as
Y'all
well.
are leaving without subscribing.
Like, why y'all doing
How
that?
about that?
No, really though.
I'm just playing.
I'm not.
You don't have to subscribe if you don't want to.
No, I need you to subscribe.
You have to subscribe. Okay.
All right, my loves. On that note, HalfLifeSistah and Wolf are signing out.
As always.
Flip side. Keep it metal. Metal forever, baby. Love you guys.
Okay.
Bye.